Hello guys and welcome to the course. In this course we are going to create a lot of apps. So starting with the basic app, we will study how to make this notes app. So this is our Android emulator and this is what our app look likes. So what's this app? So the basic idea is you are going to have an app where you can save some notes for the app. Example, we will have the example note as the default, and by the three dots option we can add a new note just like that. So by adding a new note, like I will write something, and by going on back screen we will get the note saved. Also, if we want to delete a note, we can double press on it. We have to tap on it like this and we can delete the note like this. So let us just begin by creating this amazing app. So let us start by first having a new project. So we will just have to take the empty activity as we are going to create the app by ourselves. So just write the name of the app. I will just give it the name Notes app. Let us just begin our first step by clicking on the finish button. It will take a bit time to load, so we will have to wait. So here is the screen and this is our working area. It is known as main activity where we have to write the code, and this is our virtual screen where we can show how our UI things of app look like. We have to give it a bit time. Yes. So here is the screen, is the front screen which our app will contain. So firstly we have to delete this hello world. We can just delete it, and as in our notes app we have to create a list of nodes. Like we can add as many as nodes we want. So we will have to add a new list view here. So just go to containers here in the tools and just look for list view. And if you don't find, you can also search here list view. So here is our list view. We don't have to do anything much. We just have to drag it on our app. So here the list view has been on our app. So we have to now set the constraints of the list view just by clicking on these options. The purpose of this is basically to fill the list view on our app screen. So now our list view is ready. So now we will just start with our coding. So import button contains all the libraries. Like if we click on this, we will see the libraries which are imported. Here by default there are two libraries which are imported. We don't have to focus on this now. We just start doing our code. From here we can see that this is our main activity where we will write our code, and below this there is an onCreate method. So the purpose of this onCreate method is that if we want any code that we will want to run, as soon as we open our app we will write the code here. Or if we want to do some things by clicking on the button, text view or anything, we will start writing our code in the main activity. So firstly we will write the code in our main activity by creating a new array list. So there are some basic things which we should know before we start writing our code. So first one is view. What is view button? View ID. What is view ID? We will check from here. Like if we add a button in our app, so how can we give him an ID? You know that in Java anything starts with an ID. Everything has its particular ID so that it can be uniquely defined. So for giving button an ID, we have to write this code. What is this code? Is button stands for what is the type, like button text view, and this is the name which we have given to our button, my button, and this is the basic default code which we have to write for every thing which we want to define, like find view by id, r.id dot, and here is the id which we have given to our button. So this is our view option. We have to declare every id, everything we want in our app. So now we will come to the array list, Java array list. What does Java array list do in Java? The array list class is a resizable array. Like it is an array which we know in Java, but it can be resizable. Like if we want the list view to be long, we can use that array list. It can be found in the java.util package. These packages are automatically imported in Android Studio. We will see this further, and now we will just have to declare an array list. So how to declare an array list is we just have to give the array list of here is the data type. Like if we want array list of our integers, so we will write here integers in place of string, and if we want data type to be string or any other character, we will write that data type here. Okay, so here we will just give the name to our array list, like this will contains a list of cars like Audi, BMW, etc. So here is the new keyword. We know that in Java we have to, if we have to create a new array list array or anything, we have to use this new keyword, and here we can give our size. Basically array list does not need to be given size, as it can be resizable. So without wasting our time, let us just start with the fun coding. So here we will firstly write our code in the onCreate method. As I have said that the things which we want our app to show whenever it starts, we will write that code in onCreate method. So now we will use this list view method here, because as we start our app, we should see a list of nodes automatically there. So firstly we will have to, as I said, we have to give an id of everything. Like here I have added a list view, so I have to give that an id. Like we will click on this, we will see here an id option. We will write our id here, like I will just write it list view. Okay, so just click on enter, and here we begin with our coding. So just write, firstly we have to, as I have said, that we have to declare the id list view that the id which we have given. Here we have to, as I have said, that we have to import an library. So just click on alt plus enter, the library will automatically get imported, like see this. Okay, so here we have just given our id. We will write is equal to find view by id dot id dot, here we will write just the name. Okay, so this is the thing which we are done by declaring by the list view. Now we will have to create an array list of nodes. As I have said that we have to add the nodes, so we have to create an array list, and that should not be in the onCreate, as this is the basic thing which our app should contain on clicking of nodes. So just write it here by declaring array list. As here we want the array list of string, as we have to write nodes, so we will use string. We will give that the name nodes. Just begin with the coding. So we are done with it, and now we will just add the things which we are. So this is the add method of array list. If we want to add anything to our array list, we will use just this method. Firstly we will write the name of the array list, and then use dot add, and then we will add the data type. Like if we are using string, then we have to use the semicolon. So just as we have to use the example node by default, so I will just write example node. Okay, so this is the basic thing which we have done for our app, and here is the run button for our app. By clicking on this, the emulator will start running, and the code which we have written till now will be shown on our emulator. So we will just give it a bit time. to show. In the meantime, we will learn about something about array adapter. What is array adapter? So this is the thing. You can use the array adapter to provide views for adapter view, like what you want to show on your emulator. It returns a view for each object in a collection of data objects you provide and can be used with the list-based user interactive widgets such as list view or spinner. As I've said that on we have adapter array adapter shows what we want to show to our user. So basically, if we want to show the list, then we will use that array adapter and link it with the list view so that whenever we start our app, the list view is shown. Okay, this is the only basic thing you have to know before we can see that virtually here. So I guess our emulator is ready. Just give it a bit time. As Android Studio is a huge app, it will take a bit time. Okay, so we are ready with this. Here comes our Notes app, as this is the name of our app. So alright, this is the first basic part of our video, and this is just starting. We have to go a long way in this journey, so stay with me and we will write a bit code and we will reach our destination to creating this Notes app. So let us just continue. So we as I have said in the previous video that we have to add an array adapter to connecting the list view to show to our app. So we will just use the array adapter here by normally using the array adapter declaration. We will use array adapter here and we have to give that name, so I will use the default name by creating new array adapter, and in this we have to write some constraints like firstly we will use context this comma and then we have to give that id. This is the thing we don't have to focus on, just write as it is, don't just think about it. Just write it as it is. So we are finished with declaring array adapter. Now we will link it to the our list view. List view dot set adapter, and here we will pass the id of our adapter, which is array adapter. Okay, great. So now we have to we can run our app here, but we have to do a bit coding to view our virtual view of our app. So what we will gonna do is we have to set an on-click listener. What is on-click listener? That on-click, as the name suggests, what is the thing which our app will do on clicking that particular item. Like if we click any item, like any string on our list, we will connect it to our another activity. So we will have to add our new activity. So basically we will first add our new activity here, like file new, and we will add our new activity. We will have to import an empty activity, so I will just select it empty activity and I will give it, you can give any name, but I will prefer note editor activity. Note editor activity. Okay, so just copy the name so that we have to use it further. By clicking on finish button, this will create a new activity. So by the time it is going to create a new activity, we will discuss why we have done this, as we have to connect an activity to the other, like as I have shown you in the previous video, that we have to click on the notes, like I have clicked on the example note. Another activity is opened where we can write notes like writing strings, typing. So how to connect to that activity? So for that reason I have added that. Okay, so now this is the note editor activity which I imported. So it will give two screens as we have before, like main activity where we will write our code, and another activity is virtual activity, which is the virtual area of our app. Okay, so firstly we will need to connect this activity to the previous activity. Like we first have our main activity and here we have our note editor activity. So to connect the both, we have to write a code. Here we will write our code. So as I've said, we have to use on click listeners. So I will just set this dot set. Here we will find that on item. Here are some few methods. We have to use on item click listener. On item click listener is this. We will just select an element, and there are some constraints which we need to add here. What are those constraints? Like we have to set new array adapter which we have to use, that is adapter view. Okay, we have to use as this is case sensitive, we have to use the capital one. This one we have to import this one. Okay, these are some constraints. What are these constraints which are added? The first one is view, which we have seen the id, and int is the this is the position where we have to start, and this is the id. Like everything I have said that has a particular id. So what we are going to write is we are using intent. So what is intent here? I will just show you. So intent, what is intent? An intent is a messaging object which is used to request an action from another app component. Like if we want to connect two activities to each other, like in we are assume that we are in an activity and we click on any item and we just jump to the other activity. So to do that jumping thing, we have to use intent. Okay, so I will explain you by the code. Okay, so just assume that intent is the thing which we have to use when we have to connect two activities. Okay, so just declare intent. I will just give it the name, and we will automatically set this further. Like wait, first we will declare intent, and then we have to write few things, and these are the basic things. We don't have to think about why I've written this get application content. These are the basic things. Like we have to assume that this will do this. Okay, so here we have to give the name of our new activity. So I have said that, I remember that I have said that notes activity, note editor activity here. So I will just write it. Okay, here we have to write which activity do you want to connect. So I have written note editor activity as I have given this name to our activity, and at the last we have to write dot class. Okay, so we are done with this, and just we have to write start activity, and we have to pass the intent in this. Okay, so we are done with the first part of our app building. Now what we are going to do is firstly we will run our app as it takes time to run, and we have to add something. Like we have connected both the activities, but now we have to set the visuals also. Like in the activity here, I have to add a plain text. I will just search here, or we can see it in the text. Here is the plain text. We have to add, why we have to plain text, as I have said that on clicking on example note or any string note, we have to write some text that that will get saved in our notes. So we have to just drag the plain text here. So we have to add a plain text here. I will just drag it down to our virtual view, and now you have to just set the constraints for the app. Like I will set the constraints like this, and we want this writing thing to be filled up in the screen. So here is the width and height. I will just give everything to be 0, as I want it to be completely filled on the screen. Okay, so I will just write 0. Okay, so this is completely filled, and here by clicking on this we can so here emulator is there is, so the emulator is ready. As I have said, that we have nothing to be shown here, as we have connected two activities but haven't shown, so we have to wait. So I will just close this emulator and we will work on this first. Okay, so just click on this, as this is the match constraint, so that it gets completely filled. Okay, so great, we have filled the editor text activity to be filled. So what's the thing I want to add here is, firstly we will give that an ID. Here I will just write it at edit text. Okay, and the thing I want to tell is that if we just see some options here, we have to look first for the gravity, like search for the gravity. These are the options which we can use with our gadgets or the constraints, like text view, buttons, or anything. So we will look for the gravity here. Here is the gravity. What does this mean? Center vertical. That if we click on this, our text will appear here on the center of the screen. But as for our app demands, we want that text to start from the here, top left. So we will just change the center vertical. How to change this? We will just click on this, and we have to change this to the center vertical. We can do that by clicking on here. So here what we want is to the top left. Okay, we have to fit. Okay, so we have to start from the top left. I will just select top and left. As this is a checkbox, we can select the multiple options. So I will select the top left, as we have to start from here. Okay, I will just apply it, and here is the second part of our app done. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed these sessions, and we are almost half the way to create our notes app. So there are many fun parts in this coding that we will see on running the app. So just wait and just stay with me, and we will move on to the next video, and just stay with me and enjoy the coding. We will soon be done with our first app. So we will just continue where we have left in the previous video, as we have done till now is we have used the intent to, as I have said that we use intent to connect two activities. So we have connected one activity through other, but we have to receive that intent from the other also. Like we have to use intent in note editor activity also, so that we can connect both the activities. So what we have to do first is first we have to declare the edit text which we have used here. Like I have given the id edit text, so I will just copy it from here and I will start declaring it here. Okay, we'll just write it in onCreate as edit text will be there when we start our app. So we will just use edit text, and the name we have entered is yes, this is equal to then we will use our default declaration method, which is find view by id dot id dot our edit text. Okay, it is here. So now as we have done declaring edit text, we will use intent to get connected. Okay, so we have to do the same which we have done in the previous activity, like intent. So we have to declare the library also. So just click alt plus enter, it will be imported automatically, like see here. Okay, so just keep doing the declaration part. Get intent, as we have to receive this side, so we will use get intent method of intent. Okay, so now just we have to create a note id, so that as I have said that everything has a particular id. So we have a note id, like in an array list of strings, every note will have its particular id. So we will just declare int variable named note id, I is capital. Okay, so we will receive intent from it, and here is the method get int extra, which we are going to use. Yes, this one. And in this we have to define firstly the name id, note id, and make sure that this note id is same as we have declared in the previous one. Like here we will see we have declared a note id, that id should match with the previous one. Just wait a second. I guess that should be here. Okay, this was that id, and these id should match. Okay, so firstly we will write note id, and then the second thing we have to write is we have to get give a default value. As array list or array, we can say that they have a default value of 0. So we will give the default value -1. So that means if any value is not received, that will be -1, because for greater than 0, it means that value has received. Okay, means -1 is our defected case, that where we have not received our note id. Okay, and now we will initialize a case that where note id not equal to -1, like our case is doing good, that we have received the note id. Then we will set edit text dot set text, and we also know that the set text method is used to set the text of the text editor or edit text, we can say. So we will just set the text, and what text we want to set here is we will use main activity that we have. I have said that we have to connect main activity is this one. I have said main activity. Okay, so main activity dot nodes, I have created an array list there, nodes dot, and now we will receive the note id here. Okay, note id, this id should match with the this one. Okay, why this is error showing nodes is because we have not declared array list here to be static. We have to define it static, as we know that in Java, if we do not define it by using static, then we cannot access that variable or that data type outside the class. Like in main activity class, we can use it array list only in here, and if we write static, we can access it from outside. Okay, so now as I have written static, see now it's get normal. Okay, so this is the part we have done by receiving things, but this contains fault that after writing nodes, let me show you that after running the app, the intent our app will allow us to write the nodes, but it will not save the nodes, like the things we have entered, and if you press the back button, then those things will not get saved. So for that, what we have to do is we have to use the array adapter for this also. like we have to set edit text dot add text change listener. What's that? That key but whenever we change the edit text, like whenever we change the text, add text, remove or delete, then it may get automatically saved in the database of app. What I mean to say is, let me show you. We will start by firstly we will set the method, then I will show you. Just give it a bit time. Okay, so now we will just add edit text dot text. What we have to set is add text change. Okay, add text change listener, yes, this one. Okay, and in that we have to define a new method which is new text voucher. Okay, so what does this text voucher do? Text voucher is used to check, like as the name suggests, text voucher. It will continuously watch the text. If the text is changed, like added, deleted or added, then it may automatically get saved the database of the app. Okay, so these are the three methods which are automatically imported, like before text change means what thing it should do before changing of the text. On text change means what thing it should do on the very instant moment of changing the text, and this third one is for the after text. Okay, so we don't have to write in before and after, as we don't have to do with that. We just have to write the code for the on text change. Okay, so what we have to write is we have to set the main activity, as we have to make changes in the main activity. So we will write here main activity, main activity dot nodes, the thing we want to change, dot set, as we have to save the nodes. Okay, so nodes id, and what we have to pass is we have to pass three things. First one is int index, we know that would be note id, and the second thing is string element, and string element is as we can say here, it is showing char sequence. Char sequence is what the object the edit text, the text of the edit text we have written. Okay, so we have to convert that into string, as, and we know the method string dot value of as it is in int, so we have to use the string dot value of. Now we will set the char sequence, so we know that the char sequence is s. Okay, so just put a semicolon there. Now the value is changed, and we just now have to set connectivity with array adapter also. Let me just use main activity dot array. Now here also it is not showing array adapter. So the reason is same as I have told before, that we have to make it static, and also we have declared array adapter here, so we cannot access anything outside on create method. Also we have to copy this and we have to declare it here so that we can access in this. Also if we have to access it outside, we have to write static. Okay, so I have just written static here, and now we can remove that as we have already declared, so no need to mention it twice. Now we can see that it will show here, like the thing which we were facing the problem is removed. And now we have to set dot notify, we have a method notify data set change, like it will automatically notify the main activity that the data has been changed and save accordingly to that. Okay, so now till here we have done our a very good much of code, and we can test it by running the app. And till here we have things which we have done are, we have created two activities, connected them with the help of intent, and we have used array adapter, and also here we have used text change listener, which will so that and also use text voucher, so both of them will keep a watch on the text and notify the data that if it has changed, then save the data automatically. Okay, so here is our app. Just give it a bit time. Okay, so we get our app here. So the next thing, we cannot see the changes here as because we haven't set any menu inflator. Like here we will see an option to add node, as we haven't added any new node here. So we are not shown anything on the app. So don't worry, we will just our next step is just to add the menu inflator so that we can add the new nodes. As we have not entered any nodes, that's why we cannot see the changes in the app. Okay, so let's just wait till the next video. Be with me, and we will together make this app work. Okay, so we have progressed so much till here. The one thing I just need to tell you that we have just lost a line of code here, that we haven't set intent in our intent function. We haven't completely put it here, so we have to add one method also here, intent dot put extra. So why we need to add this? So that our text gets changed. Without adding this, we cannot change our text. Our app will crash, and we will face problem. Okay, so just put intent here, and after putting intent, we have to just give it an id. So we will give, I will give this as a note id. Okay, and also we have to pass here the position. Here we have default given this name, so we will just copy and put it here. Okay, so we are ready with this. Now we can test our app till here. We must see the changes in the app. Also, I have added some I have just copied the example node and added so many times so that we can see it on our emulator. As the emulator screen is small here, we are unable to see the one or two lines, first one or two lines. So we will see it from here. Okay, just wait for it to install. Okay, so see, we have got beautiful screen, and we have example nodes here. Just click on any of that, and so here we can make the changes. You can see this is the bug that Android emulator have in this, that we cannot see the keys. So you have to use your own keyboard. Okay, so just write anything, like I will just type randomly, and I will press the back button. So here, congratulations, we have seen that it automatically gets saved. So that's why we have used that on text voucher and on text set. Okay, we can also make changes to that, like I bet I hello there, and I will just back, so we can see that it automatically gets saved. Okay, so we have progressed so much till here. So we will just move towards to our next video. Till now we have added our edit text changes and text vouchers, and lastly we have added text voucher to check whether the data is changed and to save it in the background if it is changed. Okay, so one thing I want to tell you is that we have set the note id here to be not equal to -1. What if the note id becomes equal to -1, like we don't receive any id, we don't receive any note id? That may be the case where note id become less than 0. So we have to set an else condition here. So that should work if the case is note id less than 0. So to do that, we have to declare note id above so that we can use it outside also. Okay, so I will just copy it and declare it here. So now here we don't have to use this. Okay, so we will set an else condition here. So what's that condition should be that if it is less than 0, then it automatically gets saved in the main activity, like main activity dot notes, the name of the array list, and dot add. so that it may add an empty string. As we don't receive an id, so it automatically set this an empty string. And what should be the note id? We also have to update that, and the note id should become main activity dot notes dot size -1, as because we have entered an empty string, so its size will decrease by 1. Okay, so no sorry size will increase by 1 and note id will decrease by 1 because we have added a new empty string. Okay, so till here we have set it, we have made our app half the way. And now the things we are there are few things we need to add in our app. The first one is the menu option. To add the menu option, we have to declare a new directory. So how can we do that? Let us just continue with this. We will just click here, file, just wait, we have to add a new directory, new. It's taking a bit time. Okay, so we have to add a new we have to add a new resource directory. Okay, so we will just add a new directory and we will name it as menus. Okay, so now in order to add menu option, we have to set a new directory. So what we will be going to do is we have to add a new directory here. We will just right click, new menu resource file, just search for here resource file and just search for menu resource type. Here we will find the menu and we will you can give any name, but I will like to give it add note underscore menu. Okay, so just click on OK and we will be having our new directory, which is menu directory. Just give it a bit time to add. So here is our new activity. So now what we are going to do is we have to check its XML code. So don't worry, we don't have to use much that of XML. We just have to write a line so that we can add a new menu with that three dots on the right top corner. Okay, so it's the format. Just remember the format. First we have to enter the item. After entering that, we have to use Android and we have to give it a title. So we will just find the title option. Okay, so here is the title option. You can give any title, like I will give add note. Okay, so just now select Android and now we have to set it and set its ID. So I will just use action ID and then we will be going to set the ID. Like what ID we are going to set is at the rate, yes, that default one, and then we have to just give that a name. Like I will give that add note menu, the same ID which we have saved. You can also give that add note. Okay, so after doing that, just close the item menu. You will do it will automatically do that. Okay, so we will check its virtual view, what it's going to be like. Okay, so we have lost that. Don't worry, we can get it through here. You just have to click on layout option. Here is the note activity. So we will just find it. We have to find that. So here is the design view. So we can see that we have a pretty good option of add note here. So what's that visual view say that we can click on that three dots on the right top corner and we will get a option to add a new note. So we will begin with our coding part. So what we have to write now is we have to so that we can click on the add note option and we will get a good code so that we can write and we can make changes, we can add text and many more. So we will just go to our add editor text notes editor activity. Also we have done that, so let's give it a run to check whatever we have done has done right. Just give it a bit time. So here is our emulator. So here come our app. So we will now see the changes. We should see the changes. We haven't seen that menu option here because we haven't written any code for that. So we should have to write that code for it. Till now we have done a lot of things. Lastly we have added menu directory and now we will write some code for that. For ensuring that we will write the right code, firstly we will need to revise some of the concepts, like how to create an options menu. First of all, you just need to know some code, like for having an options on the top right corner, we have to use this code in Java. We have to create an option on create options menu. So what does this thing do? Like on writing this on create options menu, we will be able to write the code inside of that, so that what thing works on selection of the item in the menu. So we will do it practically, but just give it a read, you will get some knowledge about that. Like you can also add menu items using add and retrieve items with find items to revise their properties in menu item. So you don't have to focus on that, just remember this thing on create options menu. Okay, so we will start writing our code from here. I will just give a comment here so that you can remember that this is the code for menu. Okay, so we will start writing our code here. We have to find on create options menu method, as I have told. So just start typing on create options menu, on create it should be okay. We have to write C capital on create I don't know why it is not coming. So let us just check once. Here is our add note. We have added a note. Okay. Oh, just search for own item. Create options menu. Yes, this is the one we want. Okay, it is a boolean method, so it will return either true or false, and along with we will write our code. Okay, so after writing this we have to use menu inflator. As you have seen that menu is written, so what we are gonna do here is as it returns super, so firstly we will implement menu inflator. let us introduce menu inflator here. Okay, here is menu inflator is equal to get menu inflator. Firstly we will import it here, and then we will use it by using menu inflator dot inflate, and inside of that we have to pass the menu which we want to show, like r dot menu dot, and then we will write our add note menu which we have given the same name. It will automatically come, and then we will set our directory. Okay, we have set it to the menu, so we will write it menu. And now we will see we have to implement another method on options item selected. So what is this method? After on selection of the object, like we will see there, when anyone select on it, like add note, what changes in you will see in your app, that we will write in our code here. Okay, we have to implement that separately. So what we are going to do is just give it space, and we will just randomly type starting on options item selected. Yes, okay, we have implemented this method on options item selected, and now we have to just check if the item id is same, then we will write our code, like this return will remains here. Okay, on options item selected, we will remove that. Let us remove that return here. We will write our own return statement. Okay, so just give it a space, and just start writing here. Let us put it above. We will write our code from here. Okay, so we will firstly check if our item, we will use item.getId, which is the method in Java to get the id. Is it if this is equal to r dot id dot, and we will write our note id here, that if the id is same, then we will ensure that, then we are ensured that the menu is tabbed. Okay, now we will start our intent. As we know that on clicking on the add note, we will get to the new window. Like see here, if we click on add note, we should shift to this one, note editor activity, so that we can write our note. Okay, so we have to connect our note activity here, note editor activity. So we will use intent again, and let me just correct it. Intent, we have to set up a new intent, so we will use new keyword, new intent, and this is the same code we have written before, so you don't have to write differently, just write it. And here we need to write the name to which you want to shift. Like I have given the name note editor activity, so I will write I think I have given n small, yes, note editor activity, and at last we have to put dot class so that we can shift. Okay, so we are done with this code. Just we have to start the activity now. Start activity here, and we will just pass the intent in that. Okay, this is showing error because we have to put intent capital. Oh, I'll just remove it. Okay, so it is working fine. As this is a boolean method, we have to return true or false. This code will be run, but we have to return either true or false. So we will just return here true, so that this method should run, and will return false here, so that if id is not found, then we can return the false. Okay, so let's just give it a run to check whether we have written the right code or not. Just give it a time. This will take a bit time. Okay, here comes our app. Here is our app. Here is the menu options which we are seeing. On clicking on this, we are getting a pretty good option of add note. So we will click on add note. Here is our new we can write anything here, and just by going back, our notes app gets saved here. Okay, so congratulations, you have done pretty well till here. Now we will just need to add couple of things here. We are just left with a couple of things, like how to delete a note. We haven't added any method, so by which we can delete a note. Like we will add here that on long click, like we if we try to keep it pressed, then it should get deleted, or it should ask a dialog box to that you want to delete it or not. And secondly, the thing is that whenever I open a note, like whenever I add a new note here, like add a new note, the name options come by default, so we can remove that easily. But one of the thing is that if we write any changes, if we write any text and make some changes and then close that app, like here on our emulator, if I close that app, if I just close that app and then reopen the app again from here, just a second, we have to find our app, notes app. Here is our app. If you just start our app, see that the changes we have made are not shown here. So these are the couple of things we need to add in our app. So in the next video we will work on this part, like first one is to add a delete option, and the other one is to save it in background, so that whenever our app closes and we restart our app, then the changes we have made previously are shown. So I will just end this video by correcting that the default name. We can see that here we have to find the code file. We can find it here in the layout. This we have just lost, so we can find it in the resource file. Okay, so we can see that this was our note editor activity. Here whenever we add a new note, then the name text appears by default, so we can just remove that. Like see here, this is the box where the default texts are shown, so we will just make it empty. So now we will run that and we will see that name text will be disappeared. Just give it a run. Now it will not take much time as you have run it once. So we will just add a new note. Add note. See here, the name was disappeared. Okay, so now you can write your own notes. Hello there. Just tap back. You will see the hello there screen here. Okay, so we will end this video here, and we will meet you in the next video, and we will see how to add delete options and the save in background options. We are just left with the two things. The first one is to add a delete option, and the second one is to save the changes we have made in our app in the background, so that whenever we restart our app, we will get to see those changes. Okay, so firstly we will be doing the delete thing in our this video, and lastly we will be left with the video where we will see how to save the changes in the background. Okay, so here let's get start with the delete options. For adding delete options, we need to implement a function which is known as on item long click listener, and that to be in the list view, as because we can see that whenever we click on, whenever we long press or tap, or we can hold that note, like I will just press it and hold for time, then alert dialog box should appear saying that are you sure you want to delete that note, and then we will add two methods like yes or no, positive button and negative button, to answer the dialog box. Okay, so we will just write down it here before menu, like I have to set that in the list view. So I will start with list view dot set, list view dot set on item. This time we want not the click listener but the long click listener. Okay, so I will just implement that method, and in the long click we have to set adapter view. As I have said that whenever we want to show something on the screen, we use adapter view. So this time we want to show the our alert dialog book, so we will use this. So we will set on item long click listener, and we will write okay, we have to implement new adapter view here. I will just write it again. New, we will start new adapter view dot on item. Okay, we have implemented that method here, click listener. Okay, so a pretty good code is already there. So we will just add another method here. We don't have to return false here, so we will remove, otherwise our code will not work. Okay, so we will just add new alert dialog. As I have said that we have to show a alert dialog box, I will just add new alert dialog box dot builder. Okay, so this one we want, and here we have to pass the context. I will just pass main activity dot this inside of that, and main activity. After adding this, we have the different methods in the our alert dialog box. Firstly, we will have to import the library. We will just press alt enter. Okay, so we want pretty good methods in that. Firstly, we will want dot set icon, like we have to set, firstly we have to set icon. So I will just set the icon, and inside of that we need to write the code for Android dot drawable, as our drawable for bus is for graphics, and drawable dot ic alert dialogs, we will use that default one. Okay, we will not use semicolon here as we have to implement other methods also. So we will just use the same format, set title. Now we will have to set the title, like whenever the dialog box appear, what do you want to set the title? Like I will say are you sure, and we'll implement this, and now we will want to set the message, like what message our dialog box should contain. Set message, and inside of that we will add that, do you want to delete that note, like do you want to delete this note, and we will implement question mark symbol here, delete this note. And now we have to set just two buttons, set negative and positive buttons. Firstly, I will start with positive button. Like in positive button we have to pass the two context, like first one is yes, that the options user should get, and the second one that we have to implement a new dialog, like if you want to decline, then we have to use new dialog, that one. But after that we have to write it that what should happen if user click on yes button. We have to implement that here, like I should that, like we can see that we have on click method. So after selecting positive button and selecting yes, what should happen, that we know that that node should get deleted, and now we will just remove it from the nodes. As I have given that array list name nodes, I will use nodes dot remove, and here we want to pass the position, like we have two options, which and position. We will pass the position as, because this was the position where on item long click, like on which nodes you have tabbed, or which node you want to hold, or which node you want to delete. Okay, so I will just pass the position here, and that node should get deleted. Also we want array adapter to show that changes, like we have to notify that, like we have to notify our adapter that there are some changes made, and you should show them to our screen. Okay, So we are done with, almost done with this. Just we have to set a negative button here. After coming out of the code, we need to set the negative button. Okay, so an as negative button should say no. And also what should happen, we don't want that, so we will just set it to the null, as we don't want anything. If an user select no, then that node should not get deleted. Okay, so there will be no changes there. We also, we don't want to add semicolon here, we want to show that all. So after implementing all the things, we will use semicolon. Okay, so we are almost done with our code. We just we This is showing error because this is a boolean method and we haven't returned anything, so we will just return true here. This must fix this. Okay, so we are done with our code. We'll just give it a run and we should see the changes we have made. Here is our emulator. Now we should see the dialog option whenever we long press our note. Okay, so here is our screen. If we double press, like if we hold, see this, we are getting are you sure title and the message, do you want to delete this note? And there are two options, positive button and negative button, yes or no. If we select yes, boom, the notes get deleted. And also if we select sorry, I double press that, if I hold that, I'm using it on laptop, so I have to hold that, like I'm holding it, then we can select it no, then that should not get deleted. Let us just check by adding a new note. We will add hello guys, like I will add this and press the back button, like we should get this, and on deleting this note we get delete this, boom. Okay, so we have done pretty well till here. We are just left with a single thing that I've told in the previous video, that these changes should get saved in our app's background, like it should get saved in the background, and that we can do with using shared preferences. And what is that, we will see that in the next video. So we are almost done with our notes app making. Just stay with me. Hello guys, and welcome back to the last video of our journey in creating the notes app. So here you are, just almost finished. We are just left with the task to add the shared preferences, so that whenever we closes the app, the changes we have made to our text gets automatically saved in the background. Okay, so we have to use shared preferences for that, and we'll study a bit about that. So what is shared preferences? It is an interface for accessing and modifying preference data returned by context dot this code that gets string preferences. Like whenever we make any changes in the text, it should get automatically saved by the time, so that whenever we close the app and reopens it, then the changes we have made before should get sustained. For any particular set of preferences, there is a single instance of this class that all the clients share modifications to go preferences through an editor. Like as I said, it needs, whenever there are modifications to the preferences, they must go through an editor object to ensure the preferences value remain in a consistent state and control whenever they are committed to storage. Okay, so we will just begin with our coding part. So how do we add shared preference and where to add? So firstly I will want to tell you that where we will add the shared preferences. Like we should add basically we should add at the place where we need to change our text. Like remember that we in the second video made on text changed or on text voucher, which completely which all the time watches your text. Whenever there is a change, it notifies the array adapter. So we have to find there, we have to find that, and we will write that code there. Okay, so just find text voucher where we have used that. I guess that should be in the notes editor activity. Yes, this one on text change. Here we have used our own text voucher here, and on text change we have written our code. So here we will use shared preferences because only then our changes should be saved. So we will use shared preferences. Shared preferences is equal to get application context dot get shared preferences, and inside of that we have to pass two things. First one is the package name, that our app package name that should be here. We have to just copy that package name and just go there and paste it here. Okay, so just paste it. And the second thing we want to add here is we have to add the private method to the context. So we'll just find context. We have to type context in private. So just find that. I guess I have to type that context. I have to find that. We'll write it context dot mode private. Here is it. We just found that, and here we will put a semicolon, and in the next line we will write our code where we should use the shared preferences. Like we have to edit. First we have to edit it, like shared preferences dot edit, and then we have to put string set there, and at lastly we have to pass two things in that. The first one, which the name of array list I have written, I have used notes. It should be the same which we have used before, so I have used notes, so I will put the same name here. And here I just have to apply the changes, like I will use set dot apply. I guess I have to use set till here, and then I have to use dot apply. Okay, so this is showing error. Oh, because we have lost line in between, we have to use hash set in this hash set in it, because the array list does not make the changes, like it does not sort the values. So why do we need to use array list? We can't use array list here because it don't automatically save the changes. So we have to use hash set here. What is hash set? I'll tell you. A hash set is a collection of items where every item is unique and it is found in java.util package. This will automatically get imported. So we just have to focus here that how to implement that. We have to write this code like hash set, and inside of that we need to just pass the data type. Like if you want to use string, we write string here. This is the name of the hash set which we create, and this is the new keyword which we used in Java to create any new instance of the object. And at last we have to find the same parameter here. Okay, so we don't have to focus much on that. We can add item by using add method. This we have already studied in array list. So we just have to use that here. So for creating that, I will just create it like before we have used. We have to create hash set of strings. So I will use string, and I will give it name set, and I will pass new hash set. And inside of that I have to pass where we have to, means where which activity we wants to implement. Like we have to implement main activity, and inside of that which array list we have to convert. So I have just converted array list of nodes into hash set. Just put a semicolon. Now see, the error is being removed because we have used the set name here as the same. Okay, so we are just almost done. We have to implement the same in the main activity so that it gets saved in the both the activities. So I will just copy the same code and we'll go to main activity. Here also we need to use that where we have made the changes. Like we have to find where we are changing the text, and only there we have to put that. So I will just use that where we have made the changes. We have to find that, I guess that should be below here. Not before that. We have to use that here. Notify data set change. As I told that whenever we need to make the changes, we will use that here. So I will just paste it down here, and three imports are added. Like whenever you shift something from one activity to another, you have to import the libraries. So we have to just import three libraries. Just click on OK. It will automatically get imported. See, just now we have to make some changes, like these shared preferences should get to the top. We have to declare that before onCreate method. Like this is the onCreate, we have to declare it before. So I will just declare it here. So now we don't have to use shared preferences there. Also we need to cut the first line. I need to cut the first line of code, and I will paste it above, because we need to use that code here. Like I will we will see here. I have set content view here in the onCreate method. Whenever it gets started, it should get implemented, so that whenever we opens the app, it should show the previous data which we have used before closing the app. And now we will just create a hash set here also, because we haven't created that here. So firstly we will use this after that. I think I should remove this, and I should write it here. Okay, so let's just start writing here. We have to declare hash set again. Hash set of strings set is equal to now we have to convert. We have to use the typecast method here, because we don't have a hash setting already not in there. So firstly we will complete this. We have to get the string set first, and then we have to write the name of the array list which we are converting. And secondly, the thing which automatically gets implemented, that is the default value. We should give default value null if it does not find any array list or nodes. Okay, so now we have to check, we have to implement that first. We have to typecast into hash set of string. Okay, so it's get removed, and now we have to check whether the set is null. If the set is null, we have to implement some code, otherwise we will to implement different code. If it gets if it is equal to null, we should add a new node, which is example node, and otherwise we will write, we should create a new array list. Like node should be equal to new array list of hash of set which we have created. So we don't have to use that. I will just pass set here. Okay, so this is implemented, and we are almost done with our code. We have to just set few things, like I will just remove that. I have just shown you for example. Okay, just let's keep it here, as because the screen is small, it will not be shown. We are getting some error here. Let us see where we are having that error. Here, shared preferences dot edit dot put. Okay, we have declared that above. Why should we getting that? Shared preferences, we can check it with a little bug. I guess we have to use shared preferences here again. Let me just check it. I guess there is some mistake. left here. Okay, so I have just found that error that I have used shared preference with the declaration here. Like here I have used the shared preferences before. We just have to write it once because we have already declared that above. Okay, so the error gets removed, and we are almost done with our code. Let us just give it a final run. Phew, we are just close to completing our app. It may be our final run for the app. Let us just wait till it's show. So here is our app. We will just add a new note here, like hello there guys, how are you doing? Okay, I will just click the back button. Okay, this gets saved. If I want to delete this example note, I can delete it from here. And we need now we will just check it that whether it saves the data automatically whenever we close the app or not. So just remember that what we have written the last, hello guys there, hello there guys, what are you doing? Okay, it must be there. Oh, I'm sorry, I've opened that. I'll just find my notes app. Here it is. Oh, boom! We have got that. For what we have used shared preferences. For this purpose, we have used that, and we have completed our first step, notes app. So it was a pretty good experience with it. We are done with our first step. So congratulations for that. We will be soon be creating another app, so just stay with us. Also guys, one thing need to tell you that you can also run these apps on not on the visual emulators, you can also run on your mobile phones also, and that will be preferable because you will not get such errors like you are getting the half screen and half not. So you can what way you can run that, you have to just tap the USB debugging in feature in your settings in mobile, and you will just have to connect that with the USB cable simply to your laptop or PC, and you will see here a physical device with your mobile phone name, and you can just tap on the run, and then that app will get automatically installed in your mobile phone, and then you can save that will be permanent there, so that so you can use that permanently in your mobile phone and also can test. So I will prefer to use that. Run your apps on your mobile, Android mobiles, and enjoy. Thank you.